Yes, Harris is with us. And
hello.
Hi, Harris. You also have this Sinathina platform, worked with it. You're the director or the manager of it for a number of years. And we actually saw you on some of the photos, I think, with the models, which seemed like a really good creative process. But I think you're going to speak to us about perhaps a particular aspect of how to engage with those who are not engaged in these processes formally, and how if we're to understand the aim of inclusion and the aim of participation is that everybody must be included, no matter where they are positioned in society. So that, I think, was going to be your presentation. And then perhaps we can get back to the more general and principal discussions after that.
Well, thank you so much, Trevor. Thank you so much for the invitation and for the opportunity to be here today. I listened to many of the presentations, which were extremely interesting. Also, all the comments and the presentation of Amalia, who have been working the last 4 or 5 years together, and Leños are extremely relevant to what we're doing right now. Which is, we are working inside the city, inside the municipality, on projects with citizens, with Sinathina. Of course, the question is what will be the future of all these co-creation projects. But I will try to make a kind of a small journey. Which is both personal, but also it's also very relevant with the questions and the themes that we have been discussing the last couple of hours. I'm trained and practicing architect, so architecture and urban design is my expertise. So the idea of co-creation and participation had always, from the beginning, been kind of a new thing to me. So the title of loose urbanism and participatory city means like loose traditional urbanism. It creates a participatory city, and I will try to travel around some examples of how working with city government and society, from the point of view of most of the cases from the point of view of Sinathina, which I would say it's inside the municipality, but it's in between somehow. Different kind of mentalities, how working with society and city government we can prototype solutions over a city's pressing challenges. And now I usually start with this image, which is a kind of ironic, this is the hand of a famous architect and urbanist, Le Corbusier, urban planner, during the 1930s, who was proposing this radiant city in Paris, a city designed exclusively from the master, from one person almost, which is it was kind of a heroic period for architects and planners. But at the same time, at this period and later on, especially after the world wars, we had been witnessing the public sector offering a lot of projects for the city, and a lot of and all those projects had been like of a grandiose scale. So the scale, the large scale, had been like a synonymous of the state and the public sector, and also the planning and the architecture had been completely different from what we what we see today, what we witness today. Now, this is an image of Athens, which is a completely different city than the one we saw in the image, in the photo before. But of course, this is also a deceptive image because it looks static.
Ένα webinar,
Sorry,
ένα conference που είναι όλοι...
I think I listened to Leños on the back. Which is a very static but very static, but it's deceptive because if you look Athens from the ground floor network, it's a very dynamic and a very dynamic city. Now, in this city, you know, there is this kind of, I would say, trend, this the political trend. I mean, the word political in Athens has many meanings, but you know, most of the cases means that you are from the society perspective, the word political is to be against the government. And this is an image from the very beginning of the recession period in Greece, where citizens demonstrate against the parliament of Greece. But this is a very typical, I think, example of how the society feels about government. And this, I think, and I will showcase later on with the examples I will show, is something that we feel, you know, almost every day when we are dealing with bottom-up projects and bridges with civic institutions. Now, this dynamism and this energy in the city, which is a polemic, as Lennon said before, is also has been turned into a creative energy, as Amalia showed in her slides in the previous minutes. We have been witnessing great projects happening, small-scale great projects happening from citizens, ad hoc, spontaneous, in challenging issues and problems, everyday problems in the city, whether this is, you know, putting a mobile laundry, you know, driving around the city, or discussing with citizens over the collective memory of a place. It's completely different projects, a wide spectrum of ideas happening in the city, just organized by citizens, usually a young generation of people, but not exclusively a young generation of people. Now, Sinathina, as we saw before, tried to work with those experiments and try to build a gap, try to build bridges with the municipality. This DIY, I mean, self-organizing projects, you can say that they have the risk to lose also their critical potential if they're not somehow connected with some systemic changes. At the same time, of course, when municipality, on the other hand, had all these problems facing during the first years of the crisis, the lack of funding, the lack of capacity, the lack of knowledge, etc., etc. So, I mean, the you know, one question would be like, could we redefine our relationship to the city? I mean, if we are the municipality, of course, can we you know, can we think of ourselves not as the makers of the city, but as the supporters of the city? Because the city already exists. I mean, there is a city, and maybe we can find a way to facilitate what already exists and capitalize on this collective intelligence to provide smaller or larger solutions, smaller or larger innovations. Now, these questions have been in our work here in the city, but also in my own work when collaborating with the municipality as part of the civil society. This is a project that done quite a long time ago, and maybe could be described as a failure. It has been one of the examples in the beginning of success stories in Athens, where an empty space, a very characteristic empty space of the first years of the crisis, which is an arcade in the heart of Athens city center. We worked for 2 or 3 years with the community, with the municipality, with active community groups and a young generation of makers to pilot a model of reactivation. We tested many things from partnering up with public sector, which was something completely new to us at that particular time. The building and the space belonged to a social security organization, and social security organization is a public institution, not like the municipality, is a public institution which is almost unreachable, uncontactable. I mean, you cannot contact with them. It's not like the municipality where you can go to, use a platform or a vice mayor office. So there we tested the idea of turning to the municipality, helping us acquiring the space to do this initiative. And this was the first kind of experiment over working with public authorities and public sector. And then, I mean, several other experiments happening in the space. For example, we introduced a set of rules that let the people being active into the making of this arcade. So anybody who had the opportunity after an open call of proposals to take a shop in this arcade would have to participate actively into the making of the project, offering workshops and empowering seminars to the people for free. And we had all kinds of activities inside this arcade, from 3D workshops, 3D printing workshops, to artist groups doing performances, to the first fanzine library, DIY magazine library in Greece, which still exists, and many of those projects that were born in this specific arcade still exist in Greece and in Athens. But after 2.5 years, because of the fatigue, because of the lack of funding, because of many of the political crises also played an important role, the project died. And there we started, questioning ourselves. I mean, what did go wrong? So after this project, I joined Sin Athena directly after ending up this story of this project called Traces of Commerce. I joined Sin Athena to experiment from the other part from the other side of this relationship. On some other examples, like for example the Kypseli market that Amalia showed before, which for me was the exact continuation of this almost informal experiment in the arcade. Here we tested a model of bringing people to co-design the future and the use of this market by organizing the public consultation, by organizing collaborative workshops and bringing people in, by bringing a lot of community groups in the whole project from inside the process of designing it, and also introducing the idea of an open call organized by the municipality, which I think is a kind of, could be seen as a kind of an alternative to the public procurement. It was the open call that we organized here in this market was calling people and communities to apply with proposals, not just to create activities inside the market, but to manage the market itself. So to be responsible for the running and the management of a publicly owned property. This was a municipal market. And so I think that it was for the first time that the municipality addressed to the civil society to partner up with these civil groups to co-manage a space that belonged to the municipality. And this was a kind of a huge, I think, a huge experiment. Today, the market is successively running in the area of Kypseli. Kypseli is a very interesting area in Athens that was a place of the bourgeois during the 70s, and later on attracted a lot of newcomers in the city from the third countries, immigrants, refugees, etc. It's a place with many community groups and many creative minds, activated in the area, but also with radical people turning against the refugees and migrant groups of people. Now, to tell you the story about this arcade, this market, the market is now functioning, I think, quite successfully in the place of Kypseli. But as far as our work is concerned, which is a work of bridging the gaps, of creating connections among municipality and community groups and civil society actors, I'd say that we have a long way to go. I'd say that although we spent 2.5 years on bridging these two worlds together and bringing other stakeholders around, I'd say that today the gap is there. I'd say that the least I can say is that the municipality is absent from the space, and although the space is running quite successfully, so there is still a fear. There is still a fear of connection. Now, and the last project I would like to showcase is a project we have been working today. With all these worries in our mind about the fear created from the civil society side towards municipality, about the mistrust of municipality towards the civil society, in an emergency situation, in a situation of a city that Athens is running through emergency moments. A project proposal funded by Urban Innovative Actions, a very competitive program, proposed to capitalize, proposed that the municipality should capitalize on this civil society of Athens to pilot a model for integration for migrants that have stayed too long inactive in the city. This project is called Curing the Limbo, is addressing the idea of limbo, the idea of inactivity, and the very concept of this project is to work with citizens, to work with grassroots initiatives and collectives and NGOs to help refugees help these new residents of Athens overcome this state of inertia and be back in action. The target group of population we have been focusing is the people that have granted asylum, and they have been staying for too long into the organized spaces that the state has been offering to them, waiting for years for the asylum to get the asylum, and also but also at the same time all this informal citizens initiatives that have been dealing with in a smaller scale examples of citizens initiatives dealing with the issue of engaging with refugees and offering a wide variety of services to them. So what is the position of the city government over this issue? Our position was to try to create a system that will involve all these active community groups into the creation of a model, but also that would make them the mediators for connecting this population to the society of Athens, the people responsible to connect refugees. People, when I'm saying not people, but with an institutionalized way, responsible to connect refugees to the society of Athens. This project is a very big project. It has 5 million euros funding, and it consists of many collaborators, many partners. I'd say that there is the municipality at the center, and it's also a public partner, which is the University of Athens. And I think this is also very important, that a public authority, a public university participates in an innovation program. It's a part of Athens University that has been piloting and testing and implementing a very successful integration program into the northern part of Greece for minorities. And they had been offering and designing and offering experience-oriented language courses to participant refugees of the program. Also, the project involves the two very large international NGOs, non-governmental organizations, the International Rescue Committee and Catholic Relief Services, who have a very specific expertise on housing and on job readiness. So we have a scheme of affordable housing where refugees get a stipend, a monthly stipend to pay their rent, which incrementally decreases, but also they get capacity training on the housing management, At the same time, they get support for their job readiness. But all of these things are also connected with these active civil society groups, the citizens' initiatives, through different processes, through different ideas and different links. So the project is rooted to the society of Athens. So so we can say that the project is testing a holistic model for social integration that consists of the traditional part of services which are offered to refugees, and experience-oriented, activity-oriented, participative initiatives that all aim to empower beneficiaries so that they become part of the city, that can become active in the city. At the same time, the project is testing the structuring of new forms of mutual relationships, of reciprocities among refugees and locals that support the integration process, but also the needs and the priorities of the Athenian neighborhoods. We have been testing and implementing a whole range of activities and a whole range of actions, from visiting neighborhoods to collect needs and priorities. What is the Athenian neighborhoods today? What are the priorities? What are the needs? What are also the stories that are coming out of this? The local stories that are coming out of these very local situations. Also engaging with refugees and participant refugees into a series of empowering seminars and that produce public exhibitions or public things like magazines, like DIY and fanzines, etc., and also connecting those people with the local groups of Athens. Now, today we have been working over the last almost a year and a half, to generating a whole process that supports and with funding local civil society groups to work with refugees over collaborative projects that happen into the city of Athens. And we have been nurturing and supporting today 9 of these projects with small to medium size scale funding, but also support who are working over cities' different challenges and priorities, and especially and usually soft skills projects, like, for example, sport activities. A lot of cultural activities are taking place, and other stuff like environmental activities, etc., etc. So I think that, I mean, with those 3 examples, I mean, my question is that there's a kind of a industry, not industry, there's kind of a trend throughout the last years of those spontaneous and ad hoc projects, which are embraced, more or less by the institutional partners, and they have been actually a trend, an industry that has been emerging. So the question is that if those, and how much those projects, though civil society ad hoc projects, want to create links, official links with the municipality, and have not have themselves a bigger impact, but create a bigger and more systemic impact into the city's pressing challenges and needs. And this is, I think this is for us, this is the question, is how much those projects want to be next to the municipality. And I think that's it. Thank you.